Bloomington, Indiana, a lively college town surrounded by rolling hills and quiet backroads. On April 23, 2015, it was the eve of finals week at Indiana University. For many students, the night was about celebration. But for 22-year-old psychology major Hannah Wilson, the evening would end in a way no one could have imagined. By the next morning, she would vanish without a trace. Hannah Elizabeth Wilson was born in 1993 in Indiana. Friends described her as vibrant, intelligent, and deeply caring. A young woman who loved her studies in psychology and dreamed of helping others. At Indiana University, Hannah was known as someone who could light up a room with her energy. She was close to her sorority sisters, passionate about music, and always surrounded by friends. But like many college students, she also enjoyed nights out, parties, and the social life that defined campus culture. On the evening of April 23rd, Hannah joined friends for drinks at a house party in Bloomington. According to witnesses, she seemed cheerful, laughing, and in good spirits. But as the night wore on, Hannah decided to leave the gathering. Friends noticed she had been drinking, and out of concern, one arranged for her to be driven home. The man who would give Hannah that ride was Daniel Messel, a 49-year-old IT worker from Brownsburg, Indiana. At the time, few knew his name. Even fewer knew the violent history that followed him. Hannah never made it back to her apartment. When friends tried to reach her phone later that night, there was no answer. No text, no call, no sighting. The next morning, panic began to spread. Hannah Wilson, bright, dependable, loved, had simply disappeared. Within 24 hours, a body would be discovered in rural Indiana, and beside it, one piece of evidence that would unravel the mystery. This was just the beginning of a case that shocked Indiana. In the next episode, we'll uncover how Hannah's body was found, and the chilling discovery that tied her to a predator hiding in plain sight. On April 24, 2015, just one day after Hannah Wilson was last seen leaving a party in Bloomington, police would receive a call that would change the investigation forever. A passerby had discovered a young woman's body in a rural field, and what was found lying next to her would unravel the entire case. In the early morning hours of April 24th, a motorist driving along Plum Creek Road in Brown County spotted something unusual. Lying in the grass near a gravel pull-off was the lifeless body of a young woman. When investigators arrived, they quickly identified her as Hannah Wilson. The scene was grim. Hannah had suffered multiple blunt force injuries to her head. The brutality of the attack stunned even seasoned investigators. But as they began to survey the area, they noticed something odd, something left behind. Just a few feet from Hannah's body lay a cell phone. It didn't belong to Hannah. It belonged to a man named Daniel Messel. Detectives couldn't believe it. A suspect's personal cell phone dropped at the scene of the crime. When they unlocked the device, it confirmed what they feared. The phone was registered to 49-year-old Daniel Messel, a man from nearby Brownsburg, Indiana. Messel was no stranger to law enforcement. He had a disturbing criminal history stretching back decades, including charges of assault and intimidation. Yet somehow, he had managed to avoid a long-term prison sentence. Now, his name was tied directly to Hannah Wilson's murder. Cell phone records placed Messel near Hannah's last known location in Bloomington the night she disappeared. Surveillance cameras picked up his car leaving the area. DNA evidence recovered from Hannah's body also matched Messel. Piece by piece, detectives were assembling a timeline. Hannah had left the party. She had gotten into Messel's car. She never returned home. And hours later, her body was found miles away. But the most chilling discovery was still to come. When prosecutors dug into Daniel Messel's past, they realized Hannah's murder was no random act. This was the work of a man with a violent history, who had slipped through the cracks of the justice system for years. In the final part of this series, we'll take you inside the trial of Daniel Messel, the evidence, the verdict, and how the fight for justice gave Hannah's family and friends the answers they deserved. By the spring of 2016, the case against Daniel Messel was ready to go to trial. The evidence tying him to the murder of 22-year-old Indiana University student Hannah Wilson was overwhelming. But in court, nothing is guaranteed. Would a jury deliver justice? Or would another predator slip through the cracks? On August 1st, 2016, the trial of State of Indiana versus Daniel Messel began in Brown County. Prosecutors presented a chilling timeline. Hannah was last seen leaving a party in Bloomington. Messel picked her up in his car. Hours later, her body was found in a remote field. The most damning evidence? Messel's cell phone, recovered right beside Hannah's body. Jurors listened as forensic experts explained the DNA evidence, confirming Messel's connection to the crime. Cell phone records traced his movements. Surveillance footage placed his car in the area. It was a devastating case for the defense. Messel's attorneys attempted to raise doubts, suggesting the timeline wasn't airtight and pointing to the lack of direct witnesses. But prosecutors countered with one undeniable fact: Messel's history. Jurors learned that Messel had a violent past, including previous convictions for assaulting women. The portrait painted was not of an innocent man caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, but of a predator whose violence had finally escalated to murder. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their decision. Guilty. Daniel Messel was convicted of the murder of Hannah Wilson. The judge sentenced him to 80 years in prison, effectively a life sentence. For the first time, Hannah's family could begin to process the nightmare that had consumed their lives. The verdict brought relief, but no true closure. Friends and classmates at Indiana University held vigils, releasing lanterns into the night sky in Hannah's memory. Her sorority sisters spoke of her kindness, her laughter, her dreams that would never be fulfilled. For many, the trial highlighted a deeper issue: how predators with long criminal histories can slip through cracks in the system until tragedy strikes again. Hannah Wilson's story is more than just a tragic headline. It is a reminder of the dangers that can lurk in plain sight, of the importance of vigilance, and of a justice system that sometimes acts too late. Her memory lives on through those who loved her, and through the lesson that no community, no matter how safe it seems, is ever truly untouched by violence. This concludes our 3-part series on the murder of Hannah Wilson. If this case moved you, share her story so it's never forgotten. And let us know in the comments, do you think the justice system failed Hannah long before her final night?